All right, we're looking at the guided notes for the zero product property. And really, the way I like to think about this is I want to pose this challenge. I want to find two non-zero numbers that multiply to zero. Um, and really, the confusion comes in as to what in the world I'm saying here. Excuse me. So, what? In other words, let A be times B equals zero. So here's our situation here. And if A is not 0 and B is not 0, then can their products equal 0? In other words, let's do something like let's let A equal 4, because 4 obviously doesn't equal 0, so we say 4 times, and let's let B is not 0, so let's let it equal like let's say 1/16. Right, so if I multiply 4 times a really small number like 1/16, yeah, that'll get me close to 0, right? So here I'm looking at this and I say, well, here I have 4 over 16, which gives me 1/4. Well, is this 0? Is 1/4 going to be 0? Well, no. It's not exactly 0. Right? And if A equals 4 and we ignore this, so let's let A not equal 0. So let's let A equal 4. So then we'd have 4 times B equals 0. Well, then what's the only conclusion that we can have here is that B then, right? So then B must be 0. And what if we switch that around? What if we say that we don't care that what A is. I don't care what A is, but B cannot equal 0. So let's let B equals 4. Or no, let's let B equal 9. Let's change it up a little bit. So we have A. Well, that's not a good A. I should not have chose 9. A times 9. And let's let that equal 0. Well, I have to divide both sides by 9. Right? And then I'd get A equals 0. So really what this whole thing is, what this whole thing's really saying is, right here, what this whole thing says is, if I have two numbers, A and B, if A times B equals 0, then either A equals 0 or B equals 0. So this is the big conclusion that I want to draw here. It's that if I have a situation where I have something times something equals 0, then either A equals 0 or B equals 0. So that's our big conclusion here. And that's the zero product property. So the zero product property, it states if A times B equals 0, then A equals 0 or B equals 0. All right, so let's use this idea. And this is like a mathematical crowbar, so to speak. In other words, I'm going to shove everything equal to 0, and then I'm going to force my answer out of it. And so here, I have x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. Well, this isn't something times something equals 0. However, I can factor this, right? And my factors here, I'm going to put an x here, so I know I get an x and an x. And my factors of 6 are 1 and 6, 2 and 3. And 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So here we go. I have a 2 and a 3. And the bigger one's negative, so I have that guy there and that guy there. Because my second sign is negative, these have to be different signs, right? And that's still set equal to 0. X squared minus x minus 6 factors here to equal 0. It's already set equal to 0. Well, now look, I have A times B equals 0, right? So I have A times B equals 0. So then that means that either x plus 2 equals 0, or x minus 3 equals 0. Which leaves me with my two solutions here of negative 2 and a positive 3. And if I plug negative 2 in here, I get 4 plus 2 minus 6 is 6 minus 6 equals 0. Yeah, that works. Or if I plug a 3 in here, I get 9 minus 3, which is 6, and 6 minus 6 is 0. So yeah, that works. All right, let's try this one out here. On the second problem, I have 4x squared minus 21x minus 5 equals 0. Well, how can I factor this guy? My factors here of 4 and 5, that's going to get me all the way to 20. If I multiply 4 times 5, I'll have 20. So I know my factors here, I'll have a 4x and an x. And I want to get my 5 here and my 1 here. So I can go outside, give me 4, or 4 times 5, or 4x times 5 is a 20x. And I want this guy here. Excuse me. It should be a plus. Make that adjustment. That's a plus right there. And I'd have the same sign, which would be negative. All right, so then I could see my factors here. I apologize for the typo. Let me make that adjustment. So once you make that adjustment, this factor works. And these are my factors here. And I can set each one of my factors, 4x minus 1 to 0, and x minus 5 to 0. Which means that 4x equals 1, divided by 4. So x equals 1/4, or I can add 5, and our x equals 5. And these are my two answers. All right, let's try this next one here. I have x squared minus 4x equals 0. Let's try x squared minus 4x equals 0. Well, here, I might have a greatest common factor, don't I? My greatest common factor is going to give me an x. So I'd hit x times x minus 4 equals 0. And this gives me something times something else equals 0. So either x equals 0. Hey, I don't have to do any more work there. Or x minus 4 equals 0. And if I add 4 to both sides, I get x equals 4. Or x equals 0. All right, let's try that last one out. The last one we have here is 2x squared minus 5x equals 12. Let's see, we get 2x squared minus 5x equals 12. My first question is this set equal to 0? And for that, no. I'd have to get this 12 on the other side, so I would do that by subtracting 12 from both sides. And now I'm left with 2x squared minus 5x minus 12 equals 0. And from here, my factors of 2, I'm going to get those set in. I get a 2x and an x. My factors of 12 are 3 and 4. I'm going to try my 3 here and my 4 here. I have different signs. Yeah, so I'm going to put a minus there and a plus there. And that's going to get set equal to 0. Well, this inside gives me a 3x. The outside gives me a negative 8x. Negative 8x plus 3x. Well, yeah, that's good. So these are indeed my factors. And look at the benefit of factoring quickly. So this is one of those things that we need to factor a lot in this part. So I'm going to set each one of my factors equal to 0, and I get 2x plus 3 equals 0. And I get x minus 4 equals 0. So one answer is x equals 4. The other answer, I got to subtract 3. I get 2x equals negative 3. Divided by 2 leaves me with x equals negative 3 halves. These are my answers here. Notice I'm circling my answers. Make it easy on on the teacher or the person who's grading your papers. Circle your answers. All right. If you have any questions about this, we're gonna have homework on Monday. We will have practice problems solving quadratics, solving these types of problems with the zero product property. We're going to have a bunch of practice on that on Monday.